Welcome to Diary of an Ex-Ho. I'm Cheri Hardman. I'm your ex-ho, and today's guest is Litzi Bitz. So sit back, enjoy the episode, and remember the old saying, always a bridesmaid when you're a hoe.
All right, cool. Well, I am Litzi Bitz, and my pronouns are she, her, and my sexual orientation is I identify as bisexual or pansexual, and my relationship status is that I am married and polyamorous, and I also have a couple of boyfriends at the moment and some common partners here and there.
Okay, so you're from Seattle?
Oh yeah, sorry. I am from Brownsville, Oregon.
Oh, okay, you're an Oregon person. Got it. Okay, say your name again, your stage name.
Litzi Bitz.
Litzi Bitz?
Yeah, just call me Litz. That's great.
Hey, how do you spell it?
Litzi
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Bitz.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Pronounced kind of like a little bit. It's also my clown name.
Okay. All right. So the first thing we always do is a marry, shag, kill.
Fun.
And since I didn't know anything, I try to always like orient it to the person, but not really know anything about you. And I went to your page and all I saw were flyers, 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 flyers. So not that I'm complaining, I'm just saying, all right, you can see that, correct?
Yeah, totally.
All right, so there's going to be three people. You're going to marry one, shag one, kill one. And this is Flyers edition in a different way. All characters that can fly. So
Cute. Nice.
who are you going to marry? Who are you going to shag? Who are you going to kill? We got Buzz Lightyear, Iron Man, and Superman.
Well, I think I marry Iron Man because cash-wise, that makes the most sense. Like he's very rich. I think I shag Buzz Lightyear because he seems like he'd be a great lover. And I think we kill Superman because if I can kill Superman, then I'm incredibly powerful, and I like that for myself.
Right.
So,
well, that's good. Good choices.
thank you.
Goodbye, Superman.
Yep.
He's been around a while, so
Yeah, he's had his time.
Uh-huh. All right. When it comes to sex, would you rather watch or be watched?
Be watched, definitely. I mean, I've definitely enjoyed watching as well, but I have a bit of an exhibitionist streak in me, so being watched is definitely preferable.
Good. I understand that. It's kind of funny because I thought when I started this that all performers were going to say be watched, and it's not.
Mhm.
It's not the case. So
Not always. I
yeah,
mean, performers also experience performance anxiety on a regular basis, so we don't have that like fantasy of what it's like to
right.
be watched in some ways.
Yeah. And some people have told me that just a lot of performers really have like low self-esteem actually.
Yeah.
So
The
like
reason why they're funny is because it's so
they're
sad.
compensating for something, right? Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So when you were little, what did your parents or whoever raised you, what did they call private parts?
Oh gosh. I think we use the technical names for the most part. We call them penis and vagina.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents were not very creative when it came to that sort of stuff.
Well, that's good. You learned it the correct way, I guess. Were they good relationship role models?
Yeah, no, they're still married. They are very happy together. I know that they are like, you know, they have their ups and downs in their relationships, but they were all very affectionate people. My parents are very affectionate towards each other, and I think that was a really healthy thing for me to be around when I was a kid.
Okay. And how do you think seeing their relationship has affected you and your relationships?
I mean, it has always left me with the goal of having like a lot of stability in my relationships, like seeing them and having, that as an idea of like, you have this person that you stick with. That's probably why I'm married. And it's not just like solo poly or something a little bit more chaotic, is because I think I chased down that first idea of like, I need a person that I can like completely build a life with first. And that was a
Mhm.
really good model my parents gave me. And then, my outside relationships are where I get a little bit more spicy, I guess. That's something that's very different from how my parents live their
Right.
lives.
Yeah.
But I think that first goal being accomplished, it's like, well, what else is out there?
Right. Right. Um, so now I'm going to ask you about your what I call your sexual awakening. So, like when you first really realized like sex was a thing, whether somebody told you about it or you observed something, or if it was just changes in your own body. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there were a couple like really formative, I would say like TV moments that really like changed my perspective on sex or like kind of awoken me to ideas of sex. One of it was definitely walking in on my dad having fallen asleep to the Stars TV channel. And like he had been watching a movie or something, but pretty soon it had turned into softcore porn.
Mm,
And he just didn't realize it. And so like walking back. And so I definitely like did one of those classic things of like going to the bathroom and then like hiding behind the couch to like observe as much of that as I felt like I could get away with before it sounded like he was gonna wake up. But that definitely was the first time I was exposed to the idea of like lesbians and like women
mm,
kissing women and having sensual touch that way. So that was really exciting for me as a like 12-year-old or something, somewhere around there. And the other thing is I was raised my parents are both libertarian atheists, so I have kind of a different childhood than a lot of folks. And so that meant that my role models growing up that my parents kind of subscribed to were like Ayn Rand and Penn and Teller,
mm.
the magical comedy
Right.
duo.
Right.
Because Penn Jillette is
Is
like
an
a
atheist.
comedy
Yeah.
magician who does active atheist work
Uh-huh.
and was classically libertarian for many years.
Mm,
And so as a kid, the only show that I could like watch, and I watched with my parents like it was religious time or something like that. The only time we like watched something that had swearing and nudity was Penn and Teller's Bullshit. And
mm,
so like I'd be sitting there on the couch with my parents and they'd be going, this is really important stuff. You should learn about how, faith healers are whack jobs and all that stuff.
mm,
And then in the meantime, there's, they have women with great tits like walking across the stage and, they have, they're swearing every second. The show is called Bullshit. And so that
right.
was also like the maybe casual attitude or sort of openness that I feel around sex
Mm,
and
right.
sexuality. I feel like I took a lot from Penn and Teller. I feel like I learned a lot from Penn and Teller.
Wow. That's interesting. Um, did you have any celebrity crushes?
Oh, Penn Jillette, easily.
Really?
I've met Penn in person a couple times because I listened to his podcast. He has a weekly podcast called Penn Sunday School, and it's kind of ironic and stuff. I listened to that, and then I listened to one of the spin-off podcasts of one of the co-hosts, and they meet in Vegas every couple of years for Scoop Fest, because it's the Matt and Miley's Ice Cream Social. Anyway, so I met him in person a couple times, and each time like I debate within myself whether I should tell him that as a teenager I used to masturbate to the sound of his voice, like like I'd hear him
Ellen.
on on the TV downstairs or something, and I'd be upstairs like, oh, it's so hot. So yeah, I think it'd make him uncomfortable, but it's important to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. All right. Mainstream movies that had sex scenes or love scenes that you thought were hot.
Gosh, that's a good question. I mean, all of them. I remember getting really into like Game of Thrones and like being super into the sex scenes and that, and especially with uh um the Khaleesi and Khal Drogo scenes and those sorts of things. I thought that was particularly sexy when I was in my late teens.
Right. Right. Do you watch porn?
Yeah, I do. I have found myself gravitating toward like more wacky stuff recently just to, I don't know, keep my repertoire spicy. So recently I've been looking at AI porn, like for research purposes.
Mm,
And I have found it to be really fascinating. Some like big takeaways is that it's a really good look at what one guy finds really hot. you know, instead of like it being just like what people's bodies are. It's like, oh, this man really specifically loves muscle mommies with giant areolas, you know, because this whole series of pictures will be giant
Oh,
muscly women with huge areolas and stuff. It's just, it's a fascinating thing. And sometimes you find stuff that's like, all right, that's really sexy. Like there's a lot of AI porn where it's women in like public spaces, like they'll be like naked or whatever in like a whole public area where there's people walking around, which like legally you can't really do, or at least it's unethical, it's a problematic
right,
thing, but it's created by AI, so that kind of
right.
makes that a little bit less so. I also a lot of like
Where do you
hentai monster
find
porn.
AI porn? Do you just look up AI porn or
Yeah,
what?
sometimes like if I'm on like a tube site or whatever, like, you know, Pornhub or whatever, I'll just search AI porn. My I'm a Tumblr girly. I spend a lot of time on Tumblr, and so sometimes I'll just in Tumblr in the search I'll write sexy AI and just scroll through and see what it gives me. It's
Mm,
really fascinating stuff.
well, I never even heard of that. So,
Yeah, my favorite that I've come across in the wild is a woman in a pot of chili. And the weird part about it is that her areola is the same color as her breast. It's like all one color. So that's what makes it actually kind of eerie. I'm like, I'm fine with the pot of chili, but as soon
right.
as you make that nipple the same color, I'm like, ew, that's weird.
Oh, that's funny. Do you think watching porn has had any effect on you, either good or bad?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think when I was younger and I was first like exploring porn for the first time, um, one of the ways that it affected me negatively was more in like how other people had watched porn. So like my partner, one of my first partners, the first guy I had sex with when I was 16, we tried anal for the first time and he didn't realize that you needed lube as like a major part of that, and didn't realize like the working up to that whole point. And so for years afterwards I haven't been able to have butt sex because like he kind of tore me a new one. You know, it was definitely some of that, like there needed to be some sex education between what you learn in porn, which is like, you know, varsity level
Because
Olympic
let's just say
sex.
right now, mostly men need to know this. The porn that you see and the is not how you really do it in real life.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
there's so much prep work.
yeah, yeah. I had that experience my first time anal too. It was just one big plunge in with no lube, and I ran screaming. So
Yep,
it took quite
yep,
a
yep.
few years to work up the courage to even want to attempt it again. So
Definitely.
lots of lube. But I
Absolutely.
see what you're saying. So it was their porn watching affected you, not
And
necessarily
just the fact
yours.
that like that porn hadn't taught either of us. Like I didn't know better either. Like that there was that expectation of like what these actresses are doing before the
Hmm.
scene is ready. And you know, it's just there's that gap of sex education. It's like
Right.
they're not getting into the hairy details in our
Well,
sex ed classes
you could
either.
make that sexy though.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Huh.
And
Okay.
maybe ethically that's important.
Right.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just saying that the it's interesting because porn is like making a movie, right? You're not showing every scene of somebody's life, and it's I think that expectation that that they're just trying to show you the hottest parts or whatever. It's yeah,
Hmm.
it's movie magic.
Right. Uh, what do you consider amazing sex?
I think amazing sex is sex that um does something interesting in my brain while I'm having it. So like if it's a really deep connection with a person, like I'm just like feeling that person like really deeply, that can be really amazing sex. If I'm trying something that's like outside of my comfort zone, like I'm trying, you know, being tied up in a different situation or something like that, something that I have fantasized about and is like making reality, that can be really amazing sex. Um yeah, sex that like makes my brain go into a place that isn't my daily reality, like a subspace or
Hmm.
like a just a really deep connection with a person.
Right. All right, you ready to go do the wheel of dirty questions?
Absolutely. This is fun.
Yeah, you only have to do one, or you only get to do one,
Okay, fair.
depending on how you look at it. I got to get out of this. Okay, I hit escape. Go away. Get rid of this ad. All right, here we go. What is your favorite sex toy?
Oh, I can't live without my Hitachi magic wand.
Oh, I agree on that one.
Yeah,
It's the
my
best.
battle hardened hunts can't take anything less.
Do you have the plug-in or the battery?
I've used the battery kinds, but they don't have the same oomph.
Exactly. You got to plug that
I
thing
need
in.
I need a wall outlet.
I always say I need something you have to kickstart.
Exactly. Yeah. No, if they could find a steam powered version, I bet that'd be even better.
All right, I agree with you on that one. How's your body image?
Never better. I mean, I like maybe 2 years ago it was better. I mean, a little bit of flabbiness here and there these days, but like when I was younger, I was definitely extremely insecure about my body. I grew up in the Britney being like called fat every day era, where
Mhm.
we were trying to show as much midriff as possible just to have that really long torso. And I thought that like being a fat slut was a contradiction in terms, that like Bridget Jones' Diary taught me that I'd never be able to kiss a boy in my life if I was fat,
Right,
and that kind of
right.
thing. And there was a moment when I was in my first polyamorous relationship. Actually, I was with my husband and my late wife. We were together for 3 years before she passed away,
Mhm.
and she was an amazing person, like so fun to be around, such a cool person, and was bigger than me, like, and so sexy and so secure in her body. And she taught me so much about how to think about myself differently and how to embrace who I am in a very different way. And just how to like dress myself in a way that made me feel more confident. Like I just learned so much from her, both watching her and just talking with her about how she saw herself too. And so like that relationship was in my early 20s and really, really transformed how I saw my body. So now I can walk confidently in a nude positive area with no clothes. I did a comedy show in the nude once in front of a bunch of nudists. It was a really good time.
Mhm.
Um, some of my favorite activities is being in little to no clothing in a place where that's accepted and being walked around and shown off and all that stuff. I have a lot of like tattoos that really help me love my body. And I've kind of deliberately also gotten tattoos in places that I used to hate in parts of my body. So I'm like more comfortable showing my arms because I have my arm tattoos. And like I know that when people are looking at my arms, they aren't looking at like the weird parts I hate about myself. They're looking at the beautiful parts that I love about myself.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. That's so, not to bring it down or anything, but I'm trying to ask this question of everyone, men and women both. Have you ever in your life been made to feel, or has someone tried to make you feel ashamed of having the body parts that you have?
I mean, definitely. Like I've definitely I've been online for a lot of my life. I did a lot of like uh online like chat roulette type stuff in my like late teens, early 20s, weird things, especially during that time when I felt like less than about my body and stuff.
Right.
And I've definitely had people tell me I'm fat, tell me I'm an ugly bitch, especially after I like, after trying to get with me or something, trying to ask me out, and
Mhm.
then I turn them down. Suddenly I'm way too fat to
Right,
be talked to anyway.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
those experiences also went hand in hand with people like asking me to tell them that their dick was too small. Like there's people online can be very strange.
what's the
One
best
second.
compliment you've ever gotten on your naked body?
That oh gosh. Um I don't know. Anytime someone calls me a goddess, I get kind of blushy. Like that's a pretty
A
high
nice
compliment.
compliment, yeah. Is there anything sexually that you just will not do?
Um, I have if while trying anal it starts to get painful, then it's an immediate no. But like I guess blood stuff, like cutting, feces,
Yeah,
you know, piss anywhere that's not in the shower, I guess. There's lines.
right. Yeah. Do you have any sexual regrets?
Definitely the first time doing anal. Would not do that again. Would have done it differently. Um, and like I've definitely gone on dates that like in retrospect I should have said no before it got sexual. Like I went on dates back when I was dating in Roseburg, Oregon. It was an interesting time where I went on a couple dates with a guy who was like open carrying. Was like, had guns on him during the date. Uh and I still had sex with him in his trailer, which had exotic snakes in it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Little,
Wouldn't do that again.
right, right. I know. I think of some of the risks I took, and it's like crazy.
Yeah.
But we're both still here, so that's good.
Right.
Um, is there anything still left on your sexual bucket list that you want to try that you haven't tried?
That's a good question. I'm sure I'll invent new things. I guess that's the thing. It's like, I'll see something else and be like, oh, maybe one day. Um, my problem is my like fantasy appetite for like pain is way higher than my reality
Ready?
appetite. So like, the idea of like getting flogged or something like that or getting caned is like really sexy and it's fun to watch on porn or something like that. But in reality, it's like
Mm,
I don't think I should bite off more than I can chew.
right. What's your host song? Like the song that when you hear it, like lights up your host spirit.
Baby got back
Huh?
every time.
Right. Okay. What is your Instagram?
Litzi Bitz Magic. So at LITZI Magic.
Okay. All right. And then I forgot to look and see like when this is going to come out. Let me check. September 18th is when this
Cool.
episode will come out. So do you have anything around that time that you want to promote?
Um, I will be nope, it'll be after that. I have a roast battle that I'm participating in that on that day actually. So like I
Oh,
guess on September 18th, if you happen to be in Corvallis, I'm gonna be roasting another sweetie pie of comedy in Corvallis, Oregon. Can't wait.
oh, that'll be fun.
Bombs away.
All right. So now we've come to the point of the show where you've answered all my questions. So now I'm just going to let you tell me a story about sex in any entertaining way that you want to tell
Excellent. Oh gosh. I have a story about the time that I got married. So I was married to my husband and my wife at the same time. We did not a legal marriage at the same time, but I had like legally married him to my late wife. We had a wedding with the three of us, and that's the one I invited my parents to. That was the one that was like a really nice wedding, and we did the whole thing, and it was in the
it.
backyard. It was very sweet, and it wasn't a legal marriage, but it meant a lot to us.
Right.
And then not too long after, my wife passed away, and then my husband and I were kind of like, we're still interested in polyamory. Like, what do we want to do from here? And so instead of having like a polyamorous triad, we started to kind of branch out and have our own partners, and it's been awesome. One of the people that I met after that point was a guy named Matt, and he's my boyfriend. And he and I really connected. And over that period of time, between my wife dying and my husband and I deciding to get legally married, we got really close, and he became my my secondary partner, I guess you could say. And so my husband and I, we were talking about, doing a legal marriage, and it's not going to be, as big a deal because all the people that we invited to our marriage or to a wedding already went. Like, we've already done this. It's not
Mhm.
been all that long since we had just gotten married in that, ceremony. And so like, it didn't really make sense to like drag my parents out, do the whole big wedding thing again. So we
Mhm.
knew we wanted to do something kind of small, maybe go down to the courthouse. We were kind of talking around and debating. And then we also talked about like, but what about a bachelorette party? What about a bachelor party? You know, we're not like people who need to take our friends out to a strip club. We're kind of kinky people, and we've been toying with the idea of throwing a sex party at our house, just inviting our kinky play friends and things all at the same time, and just throwing a party at our house and having a good time. And so I just threw out the idea. It was just kind of casual. I was like, what if we just like had a joint bachelor and bachelorette party and we just threw a sex party instead of like going out separately, because we know that like this isn't a party that is signifying the end of us having sex with other people. It doesn't really mean the same thing, and in fact we're kind of celebrating being polyamorous and married at the
Mhm.
same time, doing this funny thing that we're doing together. um and then I was like, well, we'll have anybody that we would want to at a party anyway. Might as well just make it our wedding. So my boyfriend at the time was an officiant, you know, has
Oh,
his officiant status and stuff. And so he just was like, yeah, sure, I'll marry you guys. And so we just threw a sex party, and it was like our bachelorette party, bachelor party slash our wedding. Our friends all came, and you know, they were all in their sexy clothes and stuff and various levels of nudity.
mhm.
And like we did a regular sex party thing, you know, we invited people, we had finger foods, and we just chatted and hung out and stuff. And uh, at one point we just kind of paused and went to the living room, and I was wearing, you know, like a bra and a skirt or something like that. And my husband, who wears kilts all the time, he had his kilt on, but then he took his kilt off, and his underwear had like a mini kilt, had like a tiny kilt that just covered
Oh.
his junk. It was really cute. And so that was the outfit that we got married in. And my boyfriend performed the marriage ceremony. There's like one picture of of our wedding, of us getting married, like legally married.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, it was taken on a camera phone by a friend and sent via text. I could find it maybe if I took like a few hours to really look for it. It's kind of a lost memory kind of thing, something that
Mhm.
just happened in the moment. um and yeah, and afterwards we had a sex party, and it was great. I fucked my boyfriend before I fucked my husband after getting married. You know, just had sex with the officiant, just because that's how the night went off. He went off and had sex with one of his girlfriends. It was a great night. And you know, best wedding I've ever been to by far.
Well, that's cool. And it's like it's like Burger King, have it your way. It's like, but doing something the way you want to do it. And that sounds like a lot of fun. So
Yeah, I feel like I got the best of both types of experiences. I had a very awesome, sweet wedding that really meant a lot to me and like was beautiful, and my parents came to. And I had one that was like silly and ridiculous and was emblematic of how I wanted my marriage to be, which is
right.
a little bit spicier. I have a bunch of friends who are really sexy and fun to watch have sex. It's great.
All right. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, we're done. Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. And
This has been great. Thank you so much.
yeah, I'll see you around and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks. You
All
too.
right. Bye.